Hello, everyone, and welcome to another very warm day all the way from South Africa, which is a beautiful river that we're looking at. My name is Ali, joining and hosting you today through the various camps. Hopefully, we'll have some action. Before we get into what we're looking and all the things that I need to tell you about this scene, just remember that this is a live and interactive show. So you can send us or send me all the comments, all the questions, everything to get a conversation going, because it's been a very hot day out down here in the Leopard in South Africa. So any extra help will be great, because I think my brain might just have been fried today. All jokes aside, we are viewing the Olifants River, which, funny enough, is not too far from where I stay. I live in the town of Hoedspruit, very close to the Kruger National Park, and this river is actually visible from a bridge that has a restaurant called Three Bridges, very appropriate, and it's been insane seeing just how much this river has gone up in the last sort of 2 weeks. We've had lots and lots and lots of rain. We even had an amazing electrical storm last night, and all of the rivers have predicted. I think I was talking to someone today that said the rivers have gone up by about 11 meters, or that was what the Limpopo River went up to. So it is crazy. People are a little bit worried that maybe we're going to get more rain now that Cyclone Freddy is arriving. It is apparently landing in Madagascar sometime today or between today and tomorrow. So we shall see what the rain's going to bring. But I mean, this is a very, very, very full river. It is beautiful, though, with all that greenery. No doubt it's going to get much fuller over the weekend, because as I was saying, we are expecting a lot of rain. But with further ado, let me say hello to everyone that's just been sending all of the comments and joining us already. So Yigal, you say hi from Israel. You're wondering what the weather here is like. So it's pretty much what you're looking at, very hot. Today has been in the 30s. I think it went to like 30, 31, which is not too bad for this area, but the humidity generally stands between 60 and 80%. So that makes you feel like we just sort of want to jump into a river where there are no crocs or hippos living. Look at that, perfect timing. And, just cool down for a little bit. But mainly hot. Where are you going, Croc? Azijan, you say good morning and coffee tastes good. Azijan, I feel like you're my coffee sister, my coffee soul sister, because you're always drinking coffee, which I really enjoy. But to be honest with you, I couldn't drink it in this heat. This is even too much for me. Are you hunting, Croc? Bob from Kalamazoo, you're saying happy Tuesday, everyone. And, where is this Croc going? Are you going for Impala? Show us. It's amazing because we don't always get to see sort of like the crocodiles going at things. You kind of just have to sit patiently and wait for a very long time before they actually just do something, because they're very patient. I mean, they have been around for quite a long time, so they've learned to master the art of patience, or the virtue of patience, which, to be honest, I feel like as a guide I've had to cultivate it, and I can do it for wildlife sighting, but I'm not sure it works for other things in my life. What are you looking at? There's definitely something in there, because it's going straight for the shore. So Mary Momo, you're saying, hi Ali, all from Hot Spring, Arkansas, on time with your coffee and ready to learn something new. Amazing. I love it when everybody joins with the coffee. It makes me feel like we're all together. Gemma, you're saying good day, Ali and all. Righty. Doesn't seem like we got excited that maybe there were some impala where this crocodile was going, but unless it's a very small impala, I don't think there's anything going on there. Jan Powers, you're saying hello from Arizona. Well, look at these dassies greeting you in proper fashion. They are actually clever, because this is all I feel like doing right now. It's just pretty much standing and just doing nothing. The weather, it's been so humid, and I'm sure like if you have lived ever in a humid country, you can associate that very sort of like how heavy the atmosphere feels, and how you're tired and then you just want to sit down and your brain doesn't work properly. I think that's exactly what the dassies are going through right now. It's been sort of fairly hot everywhere, but they seem to at least have the rocks a little bit more in a shaded path, some of them anyway, because like in the middle of the day, it would be very unusual to see them baking on the rocks like that, because they would definitely bake. I mean, I'm sure their little feet would get blisters and all. Last time I did the Africam show, we actually had the youngsters just going around and making all sorts of noises, but I think we just caught everyone at siesta time. It's funny with at this time of the year, sort of animals start a little more active later because it's still too hot, and we think, oh, 4 o'clock, it's so hot, animals are probably going and doing things, but not really. They just enjoy there. Mindy Tilapo, do you see an increased movement in crocs hippos when you get out of rain? Oh, hello, crocodile. Where are you going? I think not at the rain is falling. I think that's rare because a lot of the time the animals just, oh, hello, crocodile. Where are you going? This is fascinating. I find crocodile fascinating. They're not the type of I like to encounter too often, but I think I've had some really amazing sightings of crocodiles over the years. They're just hiding. I mean, look at the camouflage. Maybe it just wanted to also go and bask for a little while. So sorry, Mindy, going back to your question. I suppose when it depends on how much is a lot of rain, because if it's like now where we're having a lot of sort of like flooding, the water would make it, or the amount of water present everywhere would make it accessible for the creatures to move into as that they perhaps would want to. For example, the estate where I live, it is right next to the Blighter River, which is a river that I think the Blighter ends up in anyway, one of the prominent rivers. And we've had fences that have come down between the Blighter River and the estate, and then there have been found hippo tracks, where we found hippo inside the estate when normally there aren't. So they are definitely moving about a little bit more just because they can. Sometimes hippos, we need to remember, they don't really like to be in areas where there's a lot of current of water. They prefer like nice, more relaxed pools rather than being, whitewater rafting or so on. So yeah, we would be able to see them. And then also if it's nice, cool weather, you'll get to see them outside. Crocodiles, they're interesting things. Definitely basking this crocodile. I don't think it's cold now that it's basking, but who knows? Maybe it's just letting out some heat. Christine, welcome. You're saying hello from North Carolina. And now we're back to my favorite antelope of them all, the fluffy impala. They're so loyal. They're always around. Now, you can tell that it's a little bit hot because the vast majority of them are feeding in the shade. So unlike the dassies, I think these guys are still a little bit too hot, just enjoying it. Maybe they went down for a drink. Maybe they just have to watch out for the crocodiles. These crocodiles are also funny creatures. They will know that there's something, and then they'll just sit and wait and wait and wait until the time is right. Madonna McGovern, you're watching from Palestine, in Indiana. I hope that I got it right. Good morning. Laura NC, you're saying good morning from Texas, and Teddy Ladlulu, said that right. You're saying good afternoon from the UK. Well, from what I hear, it's been really hot everywhere. I have family that are in Europe, and they've said it's been unusually hot for this time of the year as well. So, whereas my family in South America have been complaining that it's been too cold. So can we just agree that the weather's been pretty wacky all around? But now when we have the rain that's coming, it will also back to sort of general animal movement like the crocodiles and the hippos and the impala. A lot of them, if there's a massive flood coming, you'll see a lot of them are going to go inland, and then they're going to, maybe not so much the crocodiles, the hippos and the impala for sure, they're going to move away sort of from the rivers and just go and chill or take refuge somewhere else where they're not going to be potentially washed down by the river. Because it's amazing, just you even look at these rivers, and I remember watching the Sabi River in what year was this, 14, and I think we watched it rise maybe 6 meters in the space of an hour. So it's a lot. I mean, if you think about how big they are, it's crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised. It seems like there is a feathered friend at the Encoro camp, so I'm sure they're pretty happy. They can fly away if the flood gets too bad, in theory, unless they get drenched, and then their feathers are covered in water and they get very heavy and they cannot really fly away. So too much of anything, I suppose it's a bad thing. Too much sunshine, it's bad for the land, it's bad for the animals, and then too much rain is also bad for the animals. I mean, look at the amount of water there and how long the grass is. It's longer than the guinea fowl. It's also potentially longer than any baby elephant. I think it's amazing just to see, because I mean, I don't think that what we're looking at is the edge of the dam. I could be mistaken, but it just seems like a road or something that's in front of it. And I know there are quite a few roads that are in front of the Nkoro camp, so this goes to show that the ground is pretty saturated. Also, the type of soil that we're looking at, you see it's quite dark, and it looks very clay-like. Very much that, just clay. So it's the particles of soil are so fine that it's not easy for the water to filter through. So it ends up pulling pretty much everywhere. Do you want to alarm at a leopard? That would be great if you did, because then we would have a leopard on the camp. Oh, it's nice to hear that. If you heard that chip on the camera, that is still one of the woodland kingfishers. I know there was one that used to hang at, I don't remember the name of the camera, but one of the cameras where the python used to be, and then that's where Monty used to live. It's out of my brain now. But it's nice because I was actually thinking about it earlier today. I haven't heard them much, so it must either they're busy trying to raise theirs, or they're just maybe starting to go well, although it's early in the season for them to go. Rosie's fan, thank you, Chris. Chris is back with us today, if everyone was wondering. He is back after leave of absence, they say. So it's actually been nice chatting to another girl on the team. No offense, Max. Look at that weather. It's amazing how localized the sort of rain is also. I mean, this area, look at that wind. It's howling. Well, you potentially cannot hear it, but I'm sure there's more water coming to Nkoro. And I think just around this area, there's about 100 millimeters predicted for the weekend, which is a lot of water. So just keep an eye on the cams during the weekend, because I'm sure it'll be interesting to see what happens and what the animals do. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of ugly drenched cats, very looking birds. All of the raptors are not going to be able to fly away because they'll be wet, waiting for the sun to come across or to shine again. But for now, seeing the sun is shining, we are taking it. Oh, nice to hear all of the birds being so active. There's the kingfisher again. It's nice. I can't believe the amount of water that there is. I've worked quite a bit in that area where Nkoro is, but I haven't been for a while. So it's amazing just to see, because just today, funny enough, I bumped into the reserve manager of a farm or a game farm that is right next to Nkoro. In front of there's this massive ditch line or a dry riverbed, but it's dry year round. It never flows. And I think he's been working there for, I want to say, the last 8 years or so. And he said that it's the first time that he has seen the river flow in that riverbed in 2 weeks. So how much water we're getting. I don't know, but there is something about all that greenery and big sycamore figs, which is that tree with the yellowish bark, that I just love. I mean, and the sound of the water, I find it very peaceful. What a baboon. Oh, hello, baboons. You're always around here. You want to eat those things, don't you? I looked into the middle of the screen and I thought maybe there was a leopard perched in sort of where, to the left, 2 trees to the left of where the little bark is. It almost seemed like that little paw of a leopard hanging. Suppose I'm seeing big cats everywhere now. And it is amazing because those cats can actually hide, and you'll never know that they're there. I actually had a very interesting encounter a couple of days ago. I was pet sitting one of my friend's dogs, and he never growls. He's grown up in game reserve, so it's a very chill dog with everything. But I had to take him out in the middle of the night, and he is generally okay. And then he started the next morning when I took him out again. Then the second he got out of the house, he started growling and facing in the direction of the bush. So I wonder if he didn't see a leopard or something there. I was scanning, I was trying to look, and also very worried about him because he's a big dog, about 40 odd kilos. Leopard, I mean, if they eat a fully grown impala, which is about 60 or so, maybe even more, you can definitely take a dog and a human. Jim, you're wondering when does the rain get dangerous for the animals? Well, it depends. So for little animals, it's very dangerous because it brings a lot of cold. So a lot of animals need to be, especially warthogs, and I think we don't think about this enough, that little warthogs need to eat a lot to metabolize whatever it is that they're eating, and well, mother's milk, I should say, mostly when they're that little, and then just produce body heat or body. So a lot of little animals tend to die of hypothermia or pneumonia or diseases that are associated with being drenched for a very long time, especially at this time of the year where we have a lot of babies. So a lot of baby impala, waterbug. Well, predators are seasonal, but if you have little predators as well, they can also succumb to some of the diseases. And then if you get flash floods, where, for example, like the river levels or the dam levels get up so quickly, sometimes that just washes away creatures, especially if you think about maybe like baby hippos and things like that. They can very easily be separated from their parents. Even elephants, baby elephants, trying to cross rivers where they just get washed away downriver. So, you can never really have too much of something is not ideal. And then, of course, you start getting issues where if it rains too much, then, you get the nutrients being washed away or bleached from the soil, and then whatever the animals eat is not that nutritious, and then just has a whole cascading effect on everything else. So I think for now we are fine. It's been quite interesting because we've had a lot of rain here. Now people are complaining and are worried about the rain here. But if you go to Kenya and places like that, then people are really worried because they've had a really bad drought this year. So it's almost as if, when I was having this conversation with some other guys, it's almost like the seasons are shifting. We're still getting what we're supposed to get, but we're not getting when we think we should, or when historically we should have received that amount of rain and so on. I just know that since I moved to South Africa, my birthday is in March. It's actually coming up soon. My birthday always falls under some sort of warning. I've had very, very wet birthdays here in South Africa. Damon, you're saying, what a beautiful setting. I agree with you. This is very idyllic. And with the sound of the water, I don't know, it just does it for me. It's just kind of magic, isn't it? You can just look at it and enjoy. That's funny. I saw that female impala on the left, so all of a sudden raised its head and then just looked in the area. And so almost waiting and willing them to sort of start barking or giving a call that maybe they spotted a predator. I mean, if you think about it, look how easily it would be for a lion or an entire pride of lions. And I mean, we can even say a leap of leopards, many leopards together, if they decide one day that they wanted to be sociable creatures, just to hide there. It would be easy for them to actually catch things. Hannah, you're asking how many ground bird nests I think get washed away with the flooding. Well, pretty much all of them, to be honest. Like if they're not on high ground, then very likely they all get washed away. And I think it's a great time of the year for them, or it's not a great thing. It's not a great thing for them because they don't have really anywhere to just anchor themselves. So it's also just trying to think of any strategies that they might have, but no, it's just I mean, that is assuming that lots of the coming enough to create sort of movement to drag the nest away. If it's just rain and it's just rain, then it should be fine. But especially for things like lapwings or birds like that, or around the water's edges, and have around the water's edges, then if the water level in a dam or in a river rises too much, then chances are that they're going to drown or they're going to go into the water. It's not really happening. I'm making sleepy. It's so great. Oh, let's see what's happening in a very, very dry area. So quite interesting, the contrast between Oldonyo. So we're looking at one of the cameras in Kenya. I think it's a giraffe in the distance. I don't know if I saw a neck or something. And what we saw in the Elephants River here in South Africa. So Kenya is not supposed to be having its rainy season now, so they have two sort of rainy seasons from roughly like November to Jan. It's a rainy season, and then sort of from the end of March until the end of March until sort of beginning of June. So it is normal for Kenya to be dry at this time of the year. I just think, however, that it's a tad drier than many people would prefer it to, because the last couple of years there's been a lot of concern that we're not getting, or that certain parts of Kenya are not getting enough rain even during rainy season. Well, hello, Eland. How are you doing? Nice to see you here. Well, looks like a pregnant female, doesn't it? It's a very big round belly. Zygote, you're saying hello. I'm saying hello back. I'm sure everybody says hello back to you. Oh, there's some zebras coming in too. I do love the noises that the oxpeckers make. I wish I could have a pet oxpecker. I think it would be the most interesting bird to form a relationship with. I must say, even Albania's looking a little bit dry. And you guys are looking quite a bit. I think there's more eland in the background. If you just see the bum of the zebras on the right, and there's an eland coming through there. Always very stressful. So it's funny because there's always a duality about it, isn't there? If it's too dry and there are fewer water sources available, then it's easier for the predators to learn that if they just stick around a water hole, animals are bound to come drink from it, because the vast majority of animals will have to, they don't have to drink daily, because not all of the antelope need to drink daily. But, eventually, at some stage, within a couple of days, if the lion is not particularly hungry, or neither is the leopard, like something's going to come that's going to provide them with a hunting opportunity. But then, on the other hand, we have areas like in South Africa where there's water pretty much everywhere, so the animals don't really have to go to certain areas to drink, and the bush is very thick around them. Then they also have the problem that they can be more easily ambushed, because they won't see whatever it is that's hiding in the grass coming from them. I think this is why, or part of the reason why, just experience really, and I would assume that also like general family knowledge that gets passed down from generation of animals. Just, you've always got to look up and then make sure you know what's actually happening around the water holes before you put your head down. It's obviously a very vulnerable position. Eland drank. Okay, goodbye, Eland. It was good having you here. Too bad you didn't wait for your friend. But clearly this is a lady on a mission. And then in the case of Eland, both males and females have got horns. So it's easier to distinguish them, obviously, if you can have a look at certain body parts, but also size, as the males tend to have like a much bigger dewlap, and then they have, of course, they're bigger. Really interesting about them, and I don't know if you'll be able to hear it when the camera is here, but if you do watch the old Dunya come often, that zebra is also pregnant, just try to see if you maybe hear the eland when they walk, because they have this very prominent under sort of their front leg. When they almost makes a click, like click. I don't know how to. It sounds like a very tight elastic band, like that's being sort of pulled. It's a very interesting sound, and there's been a lot of debate in the scientific community and the behavioral community as to why this is. Oh, sorry, I'm just getting an update. I did hear the clicking the other night. Yeah, there was debate on why. Yes, so there's always been a debate as to why they click. It's an involuntary thing, but it's really thought to be to advertise sort of dominance and strength. So in theory, or one of the most what do you call it? The most accepted theory around is that bigger males will, of course, have bigger tendencies. They are bigger in size, and then just that noise, the noise is louder the bigger the animal. So it's just a way of advertising strength and its dominance others around the area without having to go into displays or, lateral displays, or of course fighting. Because a lot of the animals, especially the antelope, they prefer to do, the standoff thing where they look at each other and they compare horn size, because, apparently size does matter in the animal kingdom. And just see each other and so on. So with the Eland, it's just a lot easier if you just, if my click just lets go in advance that I'm bigger and stronger than you, which I think is pretty cool. And it's very fun. We actually had a safari not long ago in Zimbabwe, and we just stopped Eland for a long time because the guest couldn't hear it, so we're like, no, you have to hear it because it's very cool. It doesn't add a pretty strange thing, but it is very, very cool. I'm very glad to know through in the camera. It's amazing all of the clicking that happens. I mean, we can look at the camera, and obviously the animals will look at each other, but there's so much that's constantly happening, and that animals are talking to one another or advertising themselves that we don't really know. And I mean, the clicking is just a very interesting one. Like you, Impala, you don't click. But in the rutting season, they do make lots of noise. Oh, hello, little tortoise. What you eating? This is very cool. Seems to be a leopard tortoise. Eating some salad? Or are you just eating the grass? They can get quite big, the leopard tortoises. I mean, some of them, where the records are thought to be about maybe, I think it was about between 30 and 50 kilograms, which is massive for it, if they manage to make it that way. But they are very heavy. And obviously, this one is very happy because it just found a very nice, juicy patch of grass. I don't know if it's maybe also there's a bit of a fruit there, because tortoises, as Kirsten, would be able to tell you about fruit. There was one particular tortoise in one of the camps where we used to work that absolutely loved strawberries. And you would call it and it would know. And if you didn't give it strawberries, then it would get a little bit upset with you. The only other acceptable offer, I think, Kirsten is Gregory. Yes, I'm sure she misses you. She had a good life while you were there. And yeah, sorry, the other acceptable option was, what is the name of this thing? Sorry, just getting to my, I'm sorry, red grapes. I have to be specific. Gregory liked red grapes, Kirst is saying. I think this sort of wild tortoise, it wasn't like this species, it was a hinchback tortoise that we're talking about, but in the sort of greater, you also get this one very common, which is the leopard tortoise. Why the name? Just look at the carapace, its shell. It's kind of looks like a leopard, so why not call it a leopard tortoise and just confuse everyone? It's a great thing. I love how much it's enjoyed its meal. Great view. Must also be quite an old one. I mean, I don't know with the camera and the height, maybe it's not as big in real life, but it seems to be a decent sized one. I would say maybe not quite the size of a football, but maybe a puff. And I don't know if you've ever been bitten by us. I must say that I have, and they've got very sharp jaws. It's not a situation that I would suggest. Chris, did you ever bitten by Greg? I'm pretty sure you must have at some stage. It's almost like a pair of scissors. This is fascinating. Kirst can confirm that being bitten by a tortoise is very sore, so she doesn't recommend it. I had my dog, I have a Jack Russell back home in Venezuela, and she got the tip of her ear bitten off by one of the tortoises we have in our garden. We still don't know how that happened or why, but it happened. So it was a very, very odd situation. I think the tortoise made a mistake, unfortunately, for the Jack Russell. This is so good. You don't get to see this often, and I don't know how often you get it in the cameras, but I think I've only actually seen a tortoise feed with this desperation in real life a couple of times only. You certainly found a good patch there. I could watch it for ages. Seems like it's found its good spot for the day. So I think on this very happy note and this very rich note, I'm going to be saying goodbye to everyone. It's been wonderful seeing everyone in Africa, and I'm actually pretty thrilled that we ended up with this tortoise or that we managed to see it. So hope everyone enjoys their coffee and the rest of the day, and we will see you guys soon at some stage. I'm really sure, but if not, goodbye now.